I found cigarette ash in the passenger seat of Mary's luxury car. She said dismissively, the new assistant at the company. He doesn't know any better. I asked for a divorce. She looked at me in disbelief. Just because of this? Yes, I said, just because of this. The truth is, I'm not usually that petty. But I remembered sitting in the passenger seat of her Porsche, and the moment I pulled out a pack of cigarettes, she snatched it from my hand and tossed out the window, her face contorted in disgust. How many times have I told you not to smoke in my car? For a moment, I could only give a wry smile and put my lighter away. So when I saw the ash in her car today, I knew. She wasn't a neat freak. Her rules just depended on the person. And clearly, I wasn't the person she'd break her rules for. In 3 years of marriage, Mary had gone from a corporate rookie to a powerhouse executive. Everyone who knew her called her Ms. Smith. And I was just a kept man trailing in her shadow. No one knew that I had started the company with Mary. No one knew she had a miscarriage after a night of heavy drinking with a client, and that when I asked her to rest at home, she refused. I couldn't stand to see her suffer, so I was the one who stepped back to manage things from behind the scenes. But Mary seemed to have forgotten that I used to be a major player in the business world myself. I only stepped back because I cared about her, but now, in her eyes, I was just living off her money. When I got to her office, I sent her the divorce papers. Mary was stunned. "What is this?" she demanded. "Robert, are you seeing someone else?" I gave a bitter laugh. "You'd know better than anyone if I was." She took a deep breath. "So, this is about us not having kids after 3 years. I told you I don't want them. Can you all just stop pressuring me?" By you all, she meant my parents. The last time we went to their place for a holiday dinner, my mom had gently brought up the topic of children. Mary had been furious, and she hated my mom for pushing the subject. At first, she used her health as an excuse, but after I stepped back, I spent every day cooking nutritious meals and making soups for her. Her health had recovered long ago. "No, it's not that," I said, pulling out my pack of cigarettes. Just as I was about to light one, Mary slapped it right out of my hand. "I told you not to smoke in front of me." I froze, staring at the red mark blooming on the back of my hand where she'd hit me. A surge of anger washed over me. "So he can smoke in your car, but I can't, is that it? Your precious rules only apply to me. And you have a nerve to ask why I want a divorce? You tell me." It was the first time I had ever yelled at her like that. Mary stared at me, stunned for a moment before the realization dawned, leaving her completely speechless. "Just sign the papers, and we can go our separate ways." Seeing I was serious, Mary's shock turned to anger. "He's a new hire this year. He has connections. You think I'd put up with him otherwise? Robert, if you hadn't checked out and left everything to me, do you think I'd be this exhausted?" Mary probably didn't even realize it, but when she complained, her eyes were filled with pure contempt. It wasn't resentment. She just flat out looked down on me. I scoffed. "If you're so tired, and I'm such a burden, why haven't you divorced me yet? Just sign the papers." When Mary saw I was determined to divorce her, she completely lost it. She started a huge argument but refused to sign, and then she just threw me out of her office. As I walked out, the open plan office was dead silent. I immediately spotted the young guy, and he shot me a snide look. "Oh, it's Robert. Ms. Smith has been under a lot of stress lately. That's why she's so on edge. Don't take it personally." I glanced at his ID badge. Assistant to the president. So he was the smoker. No wonder. With a boy toy like him around, of course she had no use for me anymore. I ignored him and turned to leave, but he made a point of walking me out. "Robert, if I were you, I'd just leave. Living off a woman isn't as easy as it looks, especially when you're useless and can't help her with anything." He was so sure I was just a kept man that he didn't even bother being polite anymore. I watched him, then reached out and plucked the ID badge from his shirt, rubbing it between my fingers as I raised an eyebrow. "You really think she supports me? What else? Miss Smith works so hard. A guy like you doesn't deserve her. Get lost, and don't come around the office anymore. You'll just make her angry." He snatched the badge back from my hand, clipped it to his collar, and walked away. I sneered at his retreating back. The whole world thought I was just Mary's insignificant husband. But no one knew that when Mary's company was just starting out and struggling with cash flow, it was my family that invested $300,000 to keep it from going under. And later, as the business grew, Mary worked herself to the bone. To make her path smoother and save her from endless nights of drinking with clients, I secretly reached out to my father's old friends. I funneled all their business to the Smith Company. That's how she was able to climb the ladder so quickly and become a titan of the industry. And now that the company is stable, she thinks she can just kick me to the curb? Mary must have forgotten how desperately she begged for my help back then. It's only been 3 years. I guess because she saw my family move from a mansion to a large condo, and then to a small 3-bedroom apartment, she assumed the Johnsons had fallen on hard times. I had a laugh at the thought. My parents only moved because they felt the house was too big and empty for just the two of them. In reality, we still own the mansion and the condo. I went straight to my parents' place. My mom saw the look on my face and frowned. "Why are you here alone? Where's Mary?" "Mom, Dad," I said, "I'm getting a divorce." My mom was shocked. "What do you mean a divorce? Out of nowhere? Have you really thought this through?" My dad, his face grim, added, "Divorce after just 3 years? Is this because we upset her when we mentioned having kids?" I took a long drag from my cigarette and exhaled slowly. "She thinks I'm a moocher who isn't good enough for her anymore." My parents actually laughed. "She must think the Johnson family has lost its fortune. And since you're not working, she figures she's used you up and can just toss you aside." "Is she seeing someone else?" my dad asked. I nodded. "Something like that. An emotional affair is still an affair." Even if I didn't have concrete proof, I could tell from the way Mary acted around that guy that they were far closer than they should be. My mom slammed her hand on the table. "Cheating on you, and she has the nerve to look down on you? In that case, divorce her." I was a little taken aback. My mom looked at me reassuringly. "Don't you worry. The Johnsons don't beg. As for the Smith Company, we don't want it. We still have plenty of our own assets." My dad pulled me into his study and handed me a thick folder. As I flipped through it, my jaw dropped. "Dad, you still own all of this?" My dad looked proud. "Of course. We only help those in a pinch, not the chronically needy. That $300,000 was just pocket change to us. If I'd thrown $30 million at her, she would have latched on and tried to bleed us dry. Your mother and I just wanted her to feel indebted to our family, to treat you well and build a good life with you. We never thought she'd be so ungrateful, turning on you the moment she got what she wanted. Since that's the case, we won't hold back. Go for it, son. We don't need someone like that in our family." With my dad backing me, I finally felt a sense of relief. Since we had the money, I was ready to play hardball. I used to think my family was worth a couple million at most, but now I saw it was at least 10 times that. I nodded, and right away, I started making calls to my dad's old business partners. My dad hosted a dinner for them, announcing he was coming out of retirement and that he was putting me in charge of everything. Hearing this, his old friends were thrilled. One of them, Mr. Harrison, clapped me on the shoulder. "Robert, your dad has finally come to his senses. He retired at the top of his game, said he wanted to enjoy his retirement and dote on his grandchildren. I never thought he'd come back into the fray for you after all this time." I felt a little embarrassed. It's all because of me. It's not right for me to be doing nothing at home at my age. It's time I got out there and made something of myself. That's the spirit. Why don't you start at my company, get your feet wet? Mr. Harrison, who had known me since I was a kid, offered me a position. "Come work with me for a while. See how you like it. You can ease back into things. No rush. Just have some fun with it. In fact, I have a new project just getting off the ground. I could use your input on it." "No problem." I agreed immediately. My dad smiled. After that one dinner, the entire market shifted. My father may have been out of the game for a few years, but his legend still carried weight in the business world. As his son, I was expected to live up to his reputation. Mr. Harrison was the first to bring me on board, not just because of our long-standing friendship, but because he saw the value of the Johnson family's resources. To prop up the Smith family, my dad had leveraged many of those same connections for Mary. That's the only reason Mary climbed the ladder so quickly. But things were different now. Since I was back in the game, the Smith family was about to become irrelevant. After dinner, I went back to the apartment and started packing my things. I had just finished when Mary came home. She reeked of alcohol, completely drunk. Unsurprisingly, the young assistant was the one who dropped her off. Mary snorted when she saw me, but her eyes landed on my packed suitcases and her expression soured. "Robert, what the hell do you think you're doing?" "Getting a divorce," I said. I thought I made that clear. I handed her a printed copy of the divorce agreement. "Just give me back the $300,000 I invested. I don't want anything else. You should sign it. After all, he's waiting for you." My insinuation hit its mark. Mary's face flushed a deep red. You just wait." "Fine," I said. "I'll see you at the courthouse tomorrow morning at 9. With that, I grabbed my suitcase and walked out. As I left, the guy standing there shot me a smirk. I didn't even bother to look at him. If he wanted her, he could have her. I was done. Back at my parents' house, the kid, Leo Carter, sent me a follow request on Instagram. He then sent me a video. It was of him and Mary in bed, their fingers tightly interlaced. You could see the edge of Mary's nightgown in the shot. She had been wearing her work clothes when she got home, which meant she'd changed. And who else but Leo would have been there to see it? The guy had no shame at all, but in a way, it was for the best. Since she had already crossed that line, a clean break was the only option. I thought for a moment, then sent Leo a message on iMessage. Did she sign the divorce papers? Leo, don't tell me you don't have that much pull. You got her in a bed, but she still won't make it official with you? Leo immediately flew into a rage. I was about to send a meme, but a red "not delivered" notification popped up. He had blocked me. What a sore loser. I just smiled and put my phone away. I was about to head to bed when there was a loud banging on the front door. Robert, you get out here right now. You little punk. Who do you think you were to ask for a divorce? Get your ass out here. I jolted awake. What was she doing here? The noise had woken my parents too, and they opened the door to let them in. It was Mary's sister, Jessica, the parasite of the Smith family. She did nothing but spend money and party, and with her was her husband, Mark Davis. They stood in our living room, looking like a pair of angry, ruffled chickens. When Jessica saw me, she looked down her nose and sneered. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, what a fine job you've done raising your son, teaching him to be like this. It's truly eye-opening. You're too kind, my mother replied coolly. My son is wonderful. My mom sat on the sofa, casually crossing her legs as she looked them over. Jessica was taken aback. In the past, my parents had always been polite, if not overly warm, but they had never been this cold. She was speechless for a moment, but her husband Mark piped up. I have to say, you Johnsons have some nerve. He lives off your sister for 3 years, and then he just decides he wants a divorce. Mary called us and said Robert demanded $300,000. What is that, if not a blatant cash grab? I scoffed. Assets. Mary's net worth is well over $30 million now. Is it wrong for me to take back my own $300,000? If you think that's too much, I can always sue. I'll ask my lawyer tomorrow if her marital infidelity makes her the at-fault party, and if I can get even more. What did you say? You're slandering her. I shoved the video Leo had sent me right in front of their faces. Take a good look. They're already in bed together. You still think I shouldn't get a divorce? They clearly hadn't expected to see something like that. Thanks to Leo, Mary's face was incredibly clear in the video, her luscious red lips and the sound escaping her mouth making even Jessica blush. My mom slammed her hand on the table. What a fine daughter your family raised, the Smiths. Shameless. Cheating on her husband, bringing someone back to her room to fool around. And then you have the nerve to come here and question my son. Jessica, is this how you teach your sister? Jessica hadn't anticipated such a turn of events, and her face flushed crimson. She had been living a life of luxury, thanks to Mary, buying jewelry hand over fist and acting superior at every social event. Little did she know, all that privilege came from the Johnsons. And now she had the audacity to come here and confront me, only to be blindsided by that video. I raised an eyebrow. Go back and tell Mary to sign the divorce papers. Otherwise, I'll release this video. The Johnson family isn't what it used to be, so if this gets out, I won't lose much. But your Smith family? That's a different story. They were a newer family, without deep roots or real power. When Jessica heard me say that, she could probably imagine that if Mary fell, their entire family would be ruined. She was clearly terrified, and Mark even more so. You can't do that. You were married for 3 years. I ignored them, simply stating in a low voice, I'm giving you 3 days. If Mary doesn't agree to the divorce, I'll contact the media and release the video. Then we'll see what the Smith family does. My words immediately sent them into a panic. Jessica stammered for a while, unable to form a coherent sentence. My mom, ever direct, simply opened the door and ushered them out. She turned back to me. If I'd known their family was so classless, I would have cut ties with her ages ago. Why did we wait until now? Sometimes you're just too soft-hearted. I sighed. It wasn't really about being soft-hearted. I genuinely wanted to make things work with Mary in the beginning. When we first met, I was quite taken with Mary. She seemed so innocent and pure, clearly from a good family. But I was fooled by her appearance. Once she used me to get what she wanted, she grew tired of me. We were quite happy when we first got married. But after Mary's miscarriage and my stepping back, she got a taste of high society's luxuries and saw all the successful people around her. With so many temptations, Mary changed. She became cold and distant. Our conversations grew shorter and less frequent. My disappointment in her built up day by day until now. I didn't say much, just waited patiently. Sure enough, 3 days later, Mary contacted me, asking me to meet her at the courthouse. When I arrived, she showed no remorse whatsoever. She just looked at me and said, "Robert, you've got some nerve getting my sister to help you. You want a divorce? Fine, I'll give it to you. But I'll give you the money, and from now on, the Johnsons better stay out of our business." Her audacity actually made me laugh. "Don't worry, I'll give you the same advice. After the divorce, don't come bothering me again. Don't make me lose all respect for you." Leo was with her, his arm around Mary's shoulder. He sneered, "It's just a divorce. Kicking out a kept man like you will only make her path smoother." I didn't waste any more words and just proceeded with the paperwork. There was still a month-long cooling-off period for the divorce. I prayed nothing would go wrong during that time. It would be disastrous if Mary found out we still had cards up our sleeves and tried to cling on. Luckily, Mr. Harrison had offered me a position at his company, so at least our family's full hand wasn't revealed yet. As soon as I signed, I left immediately and headed straight to Mr. Harrison's company. When he saw me, he quickly waved me over. "Robert, let me introduce you to someone. This is Ashley Miller, a brilliant new hire, a top university graduate, and a renowned investor. Don't let her youth fool you. She's already successfully completed several major projects. She was already bringing in profits for the company during her internship." I looked at the sharp, short-haired woman in front of me and nodded. "Hello, I'm Robert Johnson. I'm Ashley Miller. All right, you two young people get acquainted. For this project, you'll both work together to secure this piece of land in Southfield." I nodded, and after receiving the materials, Ashley and I began to analyze them. I had expected it to be complicated, but Ashley was very direct. The city is expanding south, but that particular plot of land is quite challenging. Personally, I don't think it's a great investment. I'm more interested in the one in East Side. With the map spread out, my eyes immediately went to East Side. You're right, with the commercial district developing there, the investment opportunities will be much greater. But both of those plots are already owned. Should we try to acquire them? Ashley's eyes lit up. Absolutely. There's a charity gala tomorrow night, and Mr. Nelson will be there. The Mr. Nelson she referred to was the owner of both those plots of land. He was desperate to sell them, and no one with any sense was interested. But Ashley and I were confident. Mr. Harrison heard me out, then paused for a moment. "How sure are you? What's the investment cost, and what kind of return are we looking at?" "We can acquire them for $150 million and double our return." "I'm confident." Mr. Harrison raised an eyebrow. "Robert." He didn't say anything else, so I stated firmly, "Trust me, these two plots of land are currently a losing proposition. Consider this my initiation into your company, Mr. Harrison. If it doesn't work out, the Johnson family will cover all losses." Hearing that I was putting the Johnson family's assets on the line, Mr. Harrison immediately agreed. "All right, if you pull this off, I'll give you a 3% cut." No problem. The money wasn't the main thing. If I wanted to prove myself, I needed results. Ashley and I thoroughly analyzed the pros and cons of both properties, and the next day, we attended the charity gala. But I never expected to see Mary there. She wasn't trying to hide anything, with Leo right by her side. They were even wearing matching outfits, openly flaunting their relationship. When Leo saw me, he immediately grinned and walked straight toward me. Well, if it isn't the ex-husband. So, which rich girl has the ex-husband latched onto now? He looked Ashley up and down, clearly not recognizing her. He noticed her clothes weren't designer, and a look of disdain crossed his face. Robert is just a kept man. Now that he's left our Mary, his true colors are showing. He took $300,000 and still can't afford to buy his girlfriend a decent outfit. Ashley looked him up and down, then said coldly, "You're wearing an outdated LH brand. If I'm not mistaken, that style is at least 5 years old. It's impressive you even found it. You can't even find it on resale sites anymore." I hadn't realized Ashley knew so much about designer brands. I chuckled. "Yeah, your Mary hasn't even given you a title, and she won't even spend money on you. You're not even as good as I was. At least when I was with Mary, I bought my own clothes. Maybe not high-end designer, but at least they were current season." Leo's face turned ashen. "I have my own money. I don't need her to support me. As for you, what right do you have to be here? Still trying to cling on? Are you?" Mary also looked annoyed. "Robert, I told you. Don't be a stalker after a breakup. How did you two get in here? Get out now, or I'll call security." I gave her a dismissive look. Ashley, standing beside me, calmly produced an invitation. Mary's jaw dropped. I then waved my phone. "If you keep talking, I won't be so polite. I haven't deleted the video." Leo's face immediately turned green. He grabbed Mary and quickly ushered her away. It seemed he already knew. Jessica must have talked to him. I just smiled. Why did a third party have to bark at me like that? Once inside, Mary was in her element, mingling with Leo by her side. Some people noticed me and looked visibly uncomfortable, but a few familiar old friends came over to greet me. Just then, I heard a chorus of sycophantic voices from across the room. Leo, you've really landed yourself a catch. Ms. Smith is a no-nonsense woman, kicking out that kept man. She's been more than generous. If I were Robert, I would have been too ashamed to show my face and would have left long ago. So, what are you two making it official? To be so shameless in public, I just sneered. From a distance, I watched Leo, his face beaming, wrap an arm around Mary's waist and shoot me a triumphant look. Of course, good things are coming soon. Everyone, come celebrate with us when we get married. Absolutely, absolutely. Ashley glanced at me. Are you going to let that slide? No way. With that, I walked over. When Leo saw me, he became even more arrogant. Look, it's the ex-husband. Come on over, everyone, meet the professional kept man. Before he could finish, I raised my hand and landed a punch that sent him sprawling. Mary shrieked. Robert, are you insane? Yeah, why are you hitting him? I scoffed. Mary, you cheated on me. We haven't even finalized our divorce. How dare you show your face in public? Your Smith family was a nobody back then. Now you've got a little dirty money, and you're openly keeping a mistress, talking about it like it's some kind of pure love story. I've never seen anything so brazen. What did you say? Who's the mistress? Leo immediately lost his composure. Of course it's you. I looked at Mary, and she couldn't hold back. You have the nerve to talk about me? What's your relationship with this woman? We're colleagues, Mary. Don't participate in tonight's charity gala. Go home now. Don't make a spectacle of yourself here. Mary was absolutely furious. Why not? It's not your event. You have no right to tell me what to do. It doesn't, but I do. Just then, the crowd parted and Mr. and Mrs. Nelson emerged. Mrs. Nelson's face was stern as she looked at Mary. No one has ever dared to bring a mistress to a charity gala I've organized and cause a scene. Mary Smith, is it? Guards, escort them out. Mary's face instantly turned green. I scoffed softly, wondering if she was truly that arrogant or just pretending to be oblivious. Mrs. Nelson and Mr. Nelson were known in their circles as a devoted couple. Anyone who dared to bring a mistress to an event like this was essentially slapping them in the face. I deliberately caused a scene tonight to show them that stupidity is contagious. Without my guidance behind the scenes, Mary wouldn't even have been able to get through their front door. She opened her mouth, about to say something else, but Mrs. Nelson didn't hesitate. She simply had security escort both of them out. In an instant, they became the laughingstock of the evening, and those who had been fawning over them just moments before were now completely silent. Mrs. Nelson smiled at me, her demeanor friendly. She looked familiar, and then it clicked. I had seen her before. My mom had afternoon tea with her once. My mom used to post on Facebook all the time, and Mrs. Nelson would appear in her photos. But after I got married, my mom would occasionally invite people over for mahjong, and I was so busy taking care of Mary that I didn't pay much attention. Once we found a quieter spot, Mrs. Nelson said, "Your mother and I are good friends from the Magnolia Society. Your mother actually founded it back in the day. She always spoke so highly of you, said you were very clever." I wasn't sure if Mrs. Nelson was complimenting me or subtly teasing me, but I just smiled. Ashley, beside me, took the opportunity to get straight to the point, explaining our purpose for being there. Mrs. Nelson smiled. "I knew you'd come here. Mr. Nelson, you talk to them. I'll go greet the other guests." Mr. Nelson stayed behind, clearly interested in our ideas. The three of us talked privately in a conference room for over an hour. When we emerged, we found Mary and Leo standing outside. When they saw us, Mary immediately rushed forward, raising her hand to hit me. But I caught her wrist and shoved her aside. "What are you doing?" Mary barely managed to keep her balance, her face a mask of disbelief. "Robert, you did that on purpose. You actually dared to lay a hand on me. What? Are you so delicate?" "Mary, these past few years have been smooth sailing for you. You've probably forgotten how you got your start." Mary's eyes blazed with fury. Leo, standing nearby, calmly said, "Mary, don't bother with him. Once we finish this project, we'll be on top of the world. Then crushing him will be as easy as crushing an ant." I shrugged and smiled. "Is that so? We'll see." With that, I pulled Ashley away. She looked a bit puzzled. "Tell me, has your ex-wife always been so blind?" It took her a moment to find the right word. I took a deep breath and nodded. "Probably. I just don't know when she lost her vision. Anyway, let's not talk about her. Although Mr. Nelson and I reached an agreement that night, acquiring those 2 plots of land quickly wouldn't be easy. The funding wasn't finalized yet. Meanwhile, Mary and her team had secured the Southfield plot with a bid of $90 million. The Smith family had put all their capital into it, and Mary had successfully won the bid. Seeing this, I couldn't help but frown. They really weren't afraid of a financial collapse. Mary, on the other hand, was triumphant, constantly posting about her celebration parties on Facebook. She and Leo were being lauded and were incredibly proud. Even our former business partners started calling me. Mr. Johnson, Mary's team is getting too arrogant. We just confirmed our contract renewal, and she's already demanding a 3% price reduction. Mr. Johnson, we used to have an understanding with you. With your backing, we could offer that price. Now that they've gained power, they want to kick us to the curb. These were all suppliers who had previously given Mary concessions out of respect for my dad. But now Mary wanted to lower prices again. Their profit margins were already razor thin, and these suppliers had had enough. I said in a low voice, Mary and I are divorced. I'm now at Mr. Harrison's company. If you're interested, you can come talk to me. I put the word out, and my former business partner started calling me. Mary, I don't know how, found out I was at Harrison Enterprises and immediately called me. Robert, you're doing this on purpose. How dare you steal my clients? Iskov Your clients? They were originally from the Johnson family. Now, it's just a matter of good birds choosing their trees. Your big business might not care for them, but you can't expect others to starve, can you? Mary, if you have nothing else to do, focus on maintaining your client relationships. Otherwise, you'll lose all your clients, and you'll regret it when it's too late. That was my final piece of advice to her. But Mary completely ignored me, even scoffing. Just you wait, I'll make you regret this. Whether I'd regret it or not, I didn't know. I was just thinking that in half a month, we'd finally get our divorce certificate. I was eager to see her get her comeuppance. The next 2 weeks passed without a hitch. Mr. Nelson and I finalized our agreement. $150 million for both plots, and we invited him to participate in the design. Mr. Harrison was very clear about one thing. He proactively offered my dad a commission. Our families had been friends for a long time. Initially, he was just trying to help me, but my dad refused the money. My dad was known in the business world as a man of his word, a true gentleman. He met my mom years ago, and it was his integrity that drew her to him. He carried that same character into his business dealings, and now he was actively giving up a huge chunk of profit. Everyone in the industry spoke highly of him, but Mary didn't know any of this. She still thought I was living off Mr. Harrison, and she mocked me relentlessly. Watching her so brazenly belittle me, everyone just stared at her as if she were an idiot. Ashley and I worked seamlessly together, and in just 2 weeks, we had Mary cornered, leaving her no escape. We had ample funds, and with my dad's overt and covert assistance, even though he didn't directly intervene, many people knew about the history between our families. Who would dare to cross us? For a while, Mary seemed to be at her wit's end, but she was used to high-stakes situations and still stubbornly held her ground. Now I was curious. Leo claimed his family had connections and influence. What kind of influence exactly? I hadn't seen any evidence of it yet. 2 weeks later, I called Mary to arrange getting our divorce certificate at the courthouse. Mary was 3 hours late, which made me anxious. I thought she had changed her mind. When she finally showed up, I couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. I thought you weren't coming. Mary gritted her teeth. You really want to divorce me that badly? My heart skipped a beat. That's a joke. You've already slept with someone else. Am I supposed to stay married to you? Stop with the nonsense. You're not regretting it, are you? Still thinking about me? Then let's just not get divorced. At that, she immediately scoffed. You wish. She practically dragged me to get the certificate, and I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Last time, it was just for the initial paperwork, and Leo had come with her. But this time, for the actual divorce certificate, Leo was nowhere to be seen. Was he trying to avoid suspicion? But I didn't dwell on it. Half an hour later, I had the divorce certificate in my hand, and I felt a wave of relief. Mary glared at me fiercely. You just wait. I waved at her, then turned and walked away. Ashley was still waiting for me in the car. Seeing Mary standing there, gritting her teeth in the wind, put me in a great mood. Now it was hunting season. Mary had staked everything, all $90 million, even taking out bank loans. She probably didn't realize that this was a long-term development project, requiring a massive amount of capital. Given the current state of the Smith family, It was probably impossible for them to manage. But in the past, my family had always covered her, and my dad had even secretly filled in the gaps. That's why she thought she was so capable. But now that our two families were completely separate, she couldn't find any funding sources. The bank had even rejected her loan. Mary was stunned, running around, begging everyone, completely overwhelmed. When the news reached my ears, I smiled. Why doesn't she ask Leo for help? Ashley, with a gossipy look, said, "You don't know yet, do you? Leo is a bankrupt trust fund baby, specifically targeting rich women. He just misjudged this time. He took $500,000 from Mary and tried to run off, but she caught him. They got into a huge fight, and the police were even called. Apparently, a lot of people at their company are starting to resign. Some are even regretting not working with you in the first place." I immediately laughed. They reap what they sow. All right, never mind them. Let's focus on our own business. Did you finish the proposal I asked you to work on last time? Ashley sighed. You really are a ruthless capitalist. I traveled twice a week, and when I got back, you had me working on 3 different proposals. The more capable you are, the more work you get. I'll give you a raise later. Mr. Harrison already said you're a rare business genius. Bring me that proposal, and then we'll go out for a nice meal. My treat today. My words finally made her happy. Don't let her serious demeanor fool you. She's actually quite young. We work incredibly well together, a perfect team. 3 months later, we announced the official groundbreaking of the high-end industrial residential complex. Mary saw my name on the list of shareholders and immediately stormed over. By then, she was heavily in debt. When she saw me, she broke through the crowd and lunged at me. "Robert, you tricked me. Your family is so rich, and you tricked me into divorcing you. You're a monster." I pushed her away, then disdainfully brushed off my clothes. "What did I trick you out of? Your affection? Your money? Or did I trick you into investing? Wasn't it you who refused to have children and messed around with a fake trust fund baby? Mary, don't flatter yourself. You're not important enough for me to bother scheming against you." Mary's face instantly went pale. Ashley, standing nearby, smiled. "Mr. Johnson, we can go to the ribbon cutting now. I'll handle things here." Ashley nudged me toward the ceremony. Then she and her team blocked Mary, who glared at her fiercely. "Don't think I don't know. You're just clinging to him because he's rich. I'm telling you, I've used that trick before, and it doesn't work anymore." From a distance, I couldn't hear what Ashley said to her. I just saw Ashley make a gesture, and Mary's face instantly went pale. She then hurried away. After the ribbon cutting, I asked her, "What exactly did you say to her?" Ashley shrugged. "I just released that video of hers and posted it online. I told her to quickly find a media publicist." I was a little surprised. "You're pretty ruthless." "Of course. Mr. Harrison said that unreliable women like her will definitely come crawling back once they see you're successful again. So to solve it once and for all, let her be socially ruined. Then she'll never dare to show her face again." I took a deep breath, feeling a mix of awe and regret. Ashley looked at me then. "Do you know what Mary said about you? She said if you weren't rich, she never would have been with you in the first place. Do you think you're just one of those fools with too much money?" I tapped her on the head. "Looks like you didn't get enough overtime last night. Pack your bags. You're going to the next city to develop the market. I'll give you a 30% raise." Ashley immediately groaned. "You really are a ruthless capitalist." I just smiled. I was never a saint. While I was with Mary, I genuinely liked her. Plus, it was my first serious relationship, and I was completely naive to the harsh realities of the world. Now, having learned my lesson, I'd rather just focus on making money. There are plenty of compatible women out there, but this time, I won't be so foolish. Mary tried to contact me a few times after that, but I had my people handle her. She finally realized the vast difference between us, and while she looked up to me, she also felt a deep sense of shame. And I had someone bring Leo over, letting the two of them fight it out like dogs, leaving me in peace.